I am Laura Roser, and I'm here with Bill High, who's one of our writers for this issue, issue 18 of Legacy Arts Magazine. It's great to have you, or to be chatting with you, Bill. And now, where are you joining us from?
I'm from Kansas City area, although I've been traveling, so I'm glad to be back home at least for a day or so.
Nice. So you're grounded for a few days before you take off again?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, good. And I'm in Point Loma, and I just wanted to chat with you about your article, which is great. So the title of the article is Five Keys to Building an Enduring Family Legacy. And Bill has a really impressive background. And I just, I'm not going to read your entire bio. It's in the article, actually. But he's the founder and CEO of The Signatory, which is a global Christian foundation. He's involved in a variety of nonprofits, and has written some incredible books about philanthropy. One is called Giving It All Away and Getting It All Back Again. And it talks about how you live generously. And that was co-written with the CEO of Hobby Lobby. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
And they've been working on this whole idea of family legacy for a while.
Very nice. And you mentioned him a little bit in your article, which it sounds like he's really provided a lot of insight into how to develop an enduring family legacy.
Yeah.
So that's one book. And then what is your most current book? Is it the 11 Pitfalls?
Well, we've actually got a couple books that are going to be coming out. One that's actually on the spiritual roots of Kansas City. It's actually a history book looking way back and just kind of how the city got founded. So that one's a pretty fun book that's a little bit of an aside. And then we're working on a book called This Beautiful Book, which is really about how the Bible is one story. But as far as print books, we actually did a book called Only One Life that came out last June, and that's about a woman's legacy. So it's actually all these stories of women and their legacy.
Very nice. It's such powerful work. So if you don't mind, before I start asking questions, how did you get started in this work, or what led you down this path?
Well, I think everybody has a background or a story. And so my own story is I didn't grow up in a family where we had a powerful legacy. It was a broken legacy. And so just that desire to have a family and be involved with family is really what started it ultimately. Now, of course, from a professional background, I practiced law for 12 years, almost 12 years, big law firm, kind of standard practice of law kind of stuff. And then over the past, I moved from there into this foundation world. And so for the past 19 years, I've been working with families in this whole area of generosity. But probably about 8, 9 years into it, we started having families come to us and say, this generosity stuff is great, but we've got other issues. We've got communication issues. We've got things that we need to address as a family. And that's really what began this journey of working with families on a more holistic basis in their family legacy.
Excellent. So I want to read this excerpt from your article, which I think is great. So you say, the idea of a family legacy can seem odd, let me start again. The idea of family legacy can seem at odds with the cherished American values of individualism and independence. Instead, most of us raise our children to independence so that they can create their own futures. I call it the up and out theory. Raise them up and move them out so that they can retire and play golf. I love this concept. You talk about this in your article, where Americans are very prone to raising their kids to be independent and to leave the nest. Why do you think cultivating a sense of interdependence is important for families?
Sorry, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, no. Are we back?
We're back. Yep. You were saying that about how Americans are very prone, and then you stopped.
Oh, no. All right. Let me try again. It was brilliant, by the way. But so American values, we're very prone to cultivating a sense of independence with our children the idea of helping them leave the nest. Why do you think cultivating a sense of interdependence is so important?
This whole idea of the rugged American individualism has always been present. And we think about that, by the way, even when we think about the first settlers that came to the United States, and we talk about how independent they were. But in truth, is that those families were very interdependent on one another. They needed one another. They needed the kids to be able to work, to be part of the family. They were, the first socioeconomic unit. And so some people call it was the family commonwealth. And that idea we've moved a long ways from in our culture today. Even in, I think it was 1962 that Del Webb was voted Time Magazine Man of the Year because he came up with the idea of these retirement communities. And the idea was that, hey, you've retired, so now you can take a break and take it easy. And the truth is that we never get away from this idea, this concept of family. No matter how far away we move, no matter where we go, we're still part of a family and we need one another. And it's that idea of coming together and relying upon one another, even if we're geographically separate, that we still need to be connected into a bigger story because it always gives us context. And I'm afraid we've lost a lot of that in our country today, that we are connected to something bigger than ourselves, into a big, big story, such that we need one another.
Absolutely. So you talk about in your article these 5 keys to developing an enduring family legacy. And I know this is a tough question because they all work together. But if you had to choose one key to kind of focus on or start with your family or with a family, what would that be?
There's a lot of things that I can talk about that. And if I can go off script a little bit, given what I just said a moment ago, it really is the idea that if we just remember the family story. I was just reading an article today about the necessity of being connected into the family story and how many times people just forget about where they come from, the background, the hurts, the joys, all those kind of things. That's the richness of family. And when you remember that, then you remember your values. Sometimes I say that oftentimes we feel values more than we can actually articulate what they are.
Absolutely. So I see these pictures of your kid. Are those your kids behind you? Grandkids at all?
Some of them, yeah. I've got 4 kids, and then I've got 3 grandkids. So
Very nice. And
yeah.
and are there any traditions in your own family that help you to be able to build this idea of a family legacy?
Yeah, when my wife and I first got married, one of the things, we read a book on family traditions. So we actually worked on a lot of different family traditions as our kids were growing up. And some of them were very simple, whether it was like having a certain night of the week that would be, hamburger night or something like that, movie night, some of those little things that we could build into it. But one of the things that we did for a lot of years, certainly when the kids were growing up, was just focus on the idea of getting away, the family vacation. And so for about 25 years, we went to the same location. We always went to Colorado. We went to Estes Park. We drove the same way. It was always a driving trip, which actually was part of the memory. And so we just had the same traditions. We typically get there on the same day. The first day was the same hike. And within that, that's something that the kids really began to experience and said, hey, this is part of our identity. And that's what we were trying to build, is an identity of who we are as a family.
Absolutely. So your background story is interesting, that you came into this work because you had for lack of a better term, a family legacy that was lacking, right? How do you help people to see the importance of legacy? Like, is there a difference maker? Is there some kind of paradigm that you use to help them to conceptualize that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that actually, I think, is the big difference maker. When I come in and I start working with the family, the first thing that I really try to focus on is the idea is that family is meant to be multi-generational. Family is the first institution for passing on values. And everybody wants to be part of something that lasts. They want to be part of something that matters. And so when you teach this idea of multi-generational family, usually everybody's eyes light up and they're like, hey, I'd like to be part of that. And so it just changes the perspective of just saying, hey, my family or my legacy is what I leave behind, to here's what I get to pass on for generations to come. And that usually gets people engaged.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, there's more info in your article. And then how do people find out about you?
They can go to billhigh.com. So that's my personal website, billhigh.com. The company website is thesignatory.com. Either one of those, they can find me at either of those places and be glad to talk at any point in time.
Absolutely. And what specifically do you do? Like, are you working with mostly these high net worth families and then helping take them through the process? Do you offer the financial side as well as the non-financial, or how does that work?
We do. My first focus with families, though, is typically just on the soft issues, which is helping them develop a mission, vision, values, working on family communication. We do personality assessments. We do strength finders assessments. And again, some of that's just focus on trying to help them understand who they are and then how do they fit within the family, and then giving them a compass setting for the future. So that's the soft side of it. But along with that, typically you need to align some of their underlying financial and estate plans, because you typically don't see the two line up.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, it's been such a pleasure talking with you, and we're honored to have you be one of our writers in this issue of the magazine. And thank you again.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it and look forward to chatting more.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you very much.
If you're interested in passing your non-financial assets like your wisdom, your values, and your beliefs to your family and leaving a great impact on the world, make sure to grab a free subscription to our online magazine. Go to legacyartsmagazine.com and you'll see it there. In every issue, we interview fascinating people about their legacies, from Fortune 500 CEOs to artists to philanthropic leaders to best-selling authors. We also offer tips, guidance, and strategies for developing an excellent legacy of your own.